Yo, Bella, I love you. Yo, Bella, I love you so much. Bella, I love you. Hey, Bella, I love you so much. Oh, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. President Ramaphosa has finally, without any change to that bill as he had originally signed it, implemented to its entirety. This is a big win. Firstly, mainly to the black community that have been excluded to certain white schools because they are not of that color. But we also find other people pretending to put a loss as a win. You know, when you've lost, you've lost. Do not try to swing it as if it's some sort of a win. You know? But I'm going to talk about these losers and I'm going to talk about these winners. And we're also going to talk about why was this law formed in its entirety. Especially after I just play. There's just a short clip from this where the president announced the full implementation of this law, Baba, just last night. So this isn't even 24 hours since the announcement, which is long overdue because Friday the 13th is many days ago.
Ability of our schools to give effect to these constitutional rights. In the application of this law, we must ensure that no language is diminished. Rather, we must work to ensure that all official languages are valued and promoted. At the time that I assented to the Bela bill, I noted that a number of parties to the Government of National Unity and other key role players in our country had expressed their wish to further engage each other on sections of the bill that deal with issues of admission and language. I said that whilst I had assented to the bill, in the spirit of cooperation and meaningful engagement, I would delay the implementation date of the Bela Act in totality by 3 months. This would give the parties time to deliberate on these issues and make proposals on how the divergent views they hold might be accommodated. I also said, should the parties not agree on any approach at the end of the 3-month period, I would then direct the minister and the department to proceed with the implementation of the Act. Over the last 3 months, discussions have been held with a view of reaching consensus on these outstanding clauses of the Bela Act. Various formations outside of government have also made representations, both for and against the relevant sections. Last week, I received a report from the Government of National Unity Clearinghouse Mechanism. This is the structure which brings together the parties to the Government of National Unity and other parties represented in Parliament to deal with contentious issues and thereafter report to the leaders of the political parties that are represented in the Government of National Unity and also some in the Parliament. In their final report, the parties agreed that the Basic Education Law Amendments Act, Bela Act, should not be sent back to Parliament to make changes to the sections that were in contention. The Government of National Unity Clearinghouse participants agreed that the Act should be fully implemented. This view was endorsed by the leaders of the parties to the GNU in a meeting I held with them today. I accordingly advised them that I would proceed to sign a presidential proclamation to bring the Basic Education Law Amendment Act, the Bela Act, into operation from today. I have instructed the Minister of Basic Education to see to the full implementation of the Bela Act. I have also instructed the Minister to do what is necessary, as customary with any law, to ensure that the time frame of implementation, particularly with regard to the preparedness of the system for universal grade R access, and the consequential regulations setting out the norms and standards are prepared. All bodies and officials responsible for the
This is where I just want to stop it. Well, this law was mainly done, in the early 2000s, right? A school called Emelo, apparently in the Mpumalanga province, where schools around it were full to a capacity of like 1,000 or so. But then there was this African school which was at a capacity of about 500. So you can already understand these people can capacitate 1,000, but then they only had 500. So the SGB was, well, as you know, the R word. So they were asked by the government, please help us with this load. We are overcapacitated. Take some learners and then implement two into language medium school, right? Where there could be Afrikaans and English, so that these learners could be accommodated. This school refused. They wanted to give them a laundry, but then they should not be admitted under their school. They could be under another school. You can imagine, why would kids be pushed into a laundry when the school is having a full capacity to have them and have them properly in that school? So what happened, the government tried to force their hand, and then the school took them to court, and ultimately they won. Because apparently the government was overplaying their hand and not doing things properly. So this has always had a bitter taste in the hand of the ruling government, the ANC, and within a large population of the black community, because this one had supported the R word, and in which people don't understand that communities are changing. If one community was predominantly filled with white Afrikaners, today mainly a quarter of the community is white Afrikaners, and then mainly it's blacks. Because we've got to admit, a lot of them had ran away from here, a lot of the places, and went to the Western Cape, where the DA government is. And they had left many other places around the country. Not saying they aren't there anymore. There's still a lot of Afrikaners in and around our communities. But most communities do not reflect them. They reflect the black communities, either being Sesotho, Sizulu, and Sexhosa in most places. Those three are the most dominant in most places, depending on where you're coming from. And if you're in the northwest, it's mainly Tswana. Here where I'm from, in the Free State, many places where there are African schools, around those community and their school are now Sotho speaking people. So is an African school still relevant? No. The DA had originally tried to make this whole issue about the ANC trying to diminish Afrikaans. It was never the case. Nobody has tried to diminish Afrikaans. Because Sesotho, Xhosa, and all these other languages are still implemented everywhere. It has never been a plot to try and diminish Afrikaans. Never. Like the president says, this should never be about a plot trying to diminish any other one language. All languages matter. Even Afrikaans, as racist as they are. All languages matter. You know? So, I also want us to look at how happy Panyaza Lesufi is. Because he had originally fought this. He had fought it tooth and nail. Said, President, sign this law. We will debate with all other entities later. Sign it into law, President. And President signed it into law. Others had said they would take it to court, they would leave the GNU. Now, they are playing it as if it's some sort of a win. Politics is a tricky business, eh? I want us to go to this and after that discuss it a little bit further, especially looking at none other than Umama Helen, who had so much to say before all of this was signed into law, but now is as quiet as, or let's say, it's like a cat that has been poured with water. Well, I also want us to look at this part where Helen Zella looks so defeated. I want you to look at her body language. Just look at this as she is right now. She's just like this. She's so defeated, having realized that the ever so demon, the guy they tried to villainize so much, Panyaza Lesufi, has ultimately won. The way he has so defeated them, they are now just trying to play it as a win. You know, politics is a very tricky business. Even when you see that you have lost, you have to give this perception as if you have won, you know? Even if you have lost, like dismally so. They have lost. They have no way out. They just find that this ANC-run government will still use their very own DA ministers to implement their laws. Tell me, how is this? How do you think she's taken this? She must have kicked the chairs, the doors, the children's toys, the mats, the wind, the swimming pool, the house, the community, the car. After this interview, the way she is so disgusted. She now has to admit that Panyaza has won, but she won't. She will play it as if it's the whole agreement. She knows everything that she has said. They know how they celebrated when Siviwe signed with whatever that group is, with those other people, where they had said that it's a binding agreement of the government and whatnot, only to find that the deputy president will say there's no such thing. What that minister had signed is not binding to the government. And they tried to spin it in many ways possible. Now they just have to admit defeat. They have been defeated dismally. I want us to just play it here. And then I want to go just to one who's already threatening government or court, and a few of their comments, the DA people have commented. I'll maybe just get 2 or 3 because I can't play people's names on here, you know.
You had expressed some concerns, of course, about this particular bill, even, campaigning during the elections, but also afterwards and in recent times as well, also speaking about the issue of Afrikaans, for example, and looking at the president's statement, he says that every person has the right to receive education in their official language and their language of their choice where reasonably practicable. And he then lists, of course, the number of languages. They have those concerns for you been addressed?
Well, PanSALB has existed for close on 30 years, and the question to ask is, what have they done in terms of their mandate to make mother tongue education accessible to more and more children? The Afrikaans community has done a lot to ensure mother tongue education for their children. The deaf community has done an enormous amount to ensure that sign language instruction can be given and that they can learn all their subjects through the medium of sign language so that it becomes a language of instruction. The question is, what has happened with the other languages? They've been totally neglected by PanSALB, and that is where the focus now needs to be.
That is where she's lying. There are so many schools that teach Sesotho, that teach Xhosa, especially where I'm from. Those are the two main languages. Right? There are already 2 primary schools that teach Xhosa. I know of 1 high school that's got Xhosa. So tell me, no, there's 2. So tell me, how are these languages being neglected? And then many, probably over 15 between primary schools and high schools that teach in Sesotho as a home language. How are these languages being neglected? How are they being neglected? Because they are fully there. People from other parts of the country can also speak for themselves and their regions and their communities.
What does that mean then? Does it mean it's not over for the Democratic Alliance on this particular issue?
Well, nothing's ever over. I mean, we will continue to fight for democracy and for the Constitution forever. And the bottom line is that we agreed in the clearinghouse mechanism, in the task team that reported to the clearinghouse mechanism, we agreed that eventually the full Bela Act will be implemented. Mm-hmm. When the norms, standards and regulations governing sections 4, D, E and F and 5A and C are in place. So that is the agreement.
So Helen, can I then maybe say, just tell me if I'm interpreting your position correctly here. You are saying we're backing you on condition that this process that needs to be done is done correctly. Is that my understanding?
Correct.
So what happens then? Let's say 18 months comes and the process is not complete and things aren't done. Has the clearing committee, the clearing house rather, did they discuss what does this mean then for this access that the president is talking about in his statement?
No, we did not discuss that in the clearinghouse because it's not up to the clearinghouse. It's up to Minister Gwahube to determine how long that takes to do it properly and according to the law.
But ultimately, it may not be up to the clearinghouse, but up to her. But these are political parties who hold different views on this particular matter. So if it does happen that she reaches that point and you're not happy, you are not going to be silent. So it means that we may find ourselves here again.
Well, we may certainly find ourselves here again on any specific day, but the president has seen fit to trust Sibiwe Gwahube to put together those regulations, those norms and standards, and to make sure that she finishes them in a reasonable time frame. And we have a lot of confidence in Sibiwe Gwahube to do that.
And what happens then when it comes to the other parties, not political parties, that is, you've got unions who are saying that they're going to be taking this matter to the courts. Should this particular act now be, fully implemented? They're not happy about clauses 4 and 5, also sharing the concerns that you shared that the Schools Act also deals with some of the issues that are in clauses 4 and 5. So for them, if this is fully implemented, it's a problem. Did you discuss at all what happens if these parties decide to take it to the courts?
Well, anyone is free to go to the courts if they need to. That is open to any citizen. And of course, they need to go, and we'll see what the courts say.
Look at how she's giving such short answers. Her body language. She is so defeated. So defeated. She can't even hide it. She cannot even hide it. And I'm glad that all these people who say that Helen is such a strong politician, she knows what she's doing, she's fierce, she's a lion. Look at her, also defeated like a small little kid that is just accepting anything. She just like, they pretended they played such hardball. They even said that they would leave this GNU. They said that they would leave this GNU should their concerns or this act be implemented in its full entirety. Now they are supporting it. They are behind it. They believe in Huarube. Like, she didn't even go to that signing to show show a boycott towards it. Now they're acting as if they're supporting it. And then they ask her about these people who will come and take this to court. I want us to listen to one of them.
Two streams of what can be done next. The one thing is that he still needs to proclaim it. So there would be a proclamation. The proclamation is printed in the government gazette. So that's the one process. If there's a way to challenge that, because we would want to study the wording as well. We are now discussing a statement from the president. It's not yet promulgated into law by way of the government gazette. So that would be the first step, and to see whether there are procedural shortcomings that one can challenge. The next one would be, when we go over that hurdle, would be a substantive challenge. The substantive challenge would be on the merits and the content of section 4 and 5. So we are not there yet. We are now at seeing what the proclamation states, seeing what the legal grounds are. But even with what we have now, we know that implementation cannot be immediately of section 4 and 5, although the act has been promulgated.
These are some of the not so bright people already saying that they're going to try and look at wording and so forth just to try and challenge this. These are some interesting times ahead. But I want us to come to a point where we talk about this whole defeated issue around our friends, the Democratic Alliance. They have now lost. They have to accept that they've now lost. So what does this then mean for everybody and for ways ahead, especially looking at how the ANC can just sign laws, bills, put them into act, with them around? NHI, Bela bill. So now we have to look at their constituents. People who have been told that certain things would be fought, but now they are just being led to happen. They are being led to just happen, Jay. You know? You will tell your constituents certain things. Tell them that no. Over our dead bodies, these things will happen. But when they happen, now there's sort of a win-win. Now you're behind it. trying to portray as if you have gotten your way. People see these things. People see these things. Because you try to put things in a certain way to diminish a president, to diminish a deputy president, that you then go and back, and later on they show you exactly all the things that you have said during the years about them. So who is defeated here? Who's the bright one here? Who's the bright one? The bright one here. You have clearly lost this fight. The majority has won. It's like they say, majority rules. So when you talk about democracy, what is this? When majority rules, and majority is happy that this bill has been implemented, we have to now go and look at our main opposition in the country. Our main opposition. Ones that are said to be anti-constitutional, supporting this very same thing. None other than their chief whip in parliament. So these people will always be opposed to everything that the DA says. I'm not going to play the whole clip. I just want us to listen to when he starts. The first thing that he says, Mzwanele Manyi.
Here on SABC News, and as we continue with reaction, as the official opposition in Parliament, what is your reaction to the implementation of the Bela bill?
Hi, buddy, and good evening to your viewership. The first point, buddy, just from a protocol point of view, for future purposes, we are the official opposition. So when we take reactions from political parties in Parliament, the first party to speak to is the official opposition, which is MK party. Then the rest can follow. We cannot follow after the DA. So just from a protocol point of view, that's the first thing. The second thing, we note what Mr. Ramaphosa has said. In fact, as MK party, we are annoyed that it has taken so long for him to sign this bill, because nothing has changed. We wasted 90 days for sweet nothing, as it were. So we're actually annoyed because we think that even this the implementation next year might have some hurdles here and there, purely because of the delay in signing this law. There should have been no delay at all with this law, because this law had gone through all the parliamentary processes properly. There were no constitutional issues. There were no procedural issues. There was just racism from the DA and the AfriForum. So Mr. Ramaphosa has wasted a huge 3 months just nursing the racism of AfriForum and DA. So I'm annoyed by that. And I've just listened to Helen here making some confused statements as if she's got a free canvas to do what they like on the regulations. They are not going to do what they like. Regulations are by nature supposed to not be inconsistent with the law. The law says the what, the regulation says the how. So the how cannot be a law on its own. The how cannot defy the what. So we're looking at it, and we just think that it's just a face-saving statement because they've lost their battle with the ANC. And we thank Panyaza, in fact, for holding firm on this position, because indeed what has happened here, Panyaza has won in this debacle. And we congratulate Panyaza for making sure that there's no racism in this country. So we're very happy for us as MK party that the Bela bill will eventually be implemented, but as I say, we lament the delay.
Yeah, and of course, Mr. Manyi,
hey, Manyi, I don't really like this chap, but his opening statement kills me that they are the official opposition and they should speak first. They don't listen to other people. And then also saying, we thank Panyaza. We should really thank Panyaza. We should really thank Panyaza. Panyaza Lesufi, we thank you for forcing your hand on them and making sure that this Bela bill is into full implementation. South Africa, we have entered into a new dawn. And I hope we can make use of this. I hope we can make use of this to its full capacity and implementation. Viva Africa! Setjhaba sa rona, setjhaba sa heso. Morena se boloke. See you guys on the next one as we keep laughing at the defeated, whether it's the EFF, it's the DA, or any other party. We will discuss it on this channel. Bela, we love you. The Voortrekker, going to Voortrekker and doing all these not so intelligent stuff has helped no one.
Apologies to those that are partners in the government of national unity. Comrade President, there is something that is called the Basic Education Amendment Laws. I'm asking you, President, politely and respectfully so, sign that law. Sign that law. There must be no institution here, President, when the 6th administration and this particular house has passed that particular law. And the law is very simple, President. We are prepared to listen to any other person that wants to raise any view. But the law is simple. All our children must be in the same classroom and taught by the same teacher. What's wrong with that particular proposal? What's wrong with that particular proposal? That the language of teaching must incorporate all 12 languages, that there must be no language that is excluded. What's wrong with that particular proposal? That every child that is in ECD must be a formal education system starting from ECD. What's wrong with that particular proposal? And therefore, President, sign that particular law. We'll debate later